Hey everybody, Matt Quinn, Vice President, CGC Cards here today with Max Stokowski. So Max, you're with Ancestral MTG, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. So yeah, you guys specialize in high-end Magic cards, right? So buying and selling like only the best and oddities, rarities, things like that?
Yeah, so we primarily deal with test prints, playtest cards, other oddities, misprints, super high-end production cards, alpha, beta, unlimited, Four Horsemen sets, test prints, all the weird and wacky stuff.
No, that sounds like the top of the pyramid as far as Magic collecting goes. And of course, what we have here today is a complete collection of Alpha Magic the Gathering cards.
Yes.
So this set is owned by Joel Mick, who's your business partner, correct?
Yes, correct.
So tell me a little about Joel. So I know Joel has a storied history with Magic. So like, where did he get his beginnings with Magic?
Joel went to University of Pennsylvania, where he met Richard. He was in the Bridge Club, amongst other Magic the Gathering playtesters such as Scaff Elias, Charlie Catino, Bill Rose, who's the current VP, Jim Lim.
No, that's special. I mean, the playtesting phase, I mean, as I understand the history of it, was the wild, wild west for Magic, where everything was coming together. They were trying to figure out, okay, how does this card interact with this card?
Yes.
You know, is this too powerful? Is this not powerful enough? You know, and those playtest cards, those Gamma playtest cards that they were using, we actually certify those as well. And I know that, you know, with Joel, you talked about you guys collect that kind of stuff, and that kind of is one of his areas of focus with collecting now, right?
Yes, so that is one of his specialties. He loves collecting Gamma playtest cards. He also has a couple of Delta playtest cards, Epsilon playtest cards, a couple of Beta playtest cards, but not many. And of course, we don't have any Alpha playtest cards because Richard has all of them.
Yes, he has the 120 cards already. Yeah,
yes.
Okay, so yeah, those are special cards. I mean, and but this set here, this is the Alpha set. So this is what the public first consumed for Magic the Gathering. So this came out in 1993. 295 cards, missing a couple ones that probably should have been in it, but no, the Alpha set, when people think of Magic the Gathering, this card here, the Alpha Lotus obviously is the top of the pyramid.
Yes.
So the Alpha Lotus, you know, that card just accelerated the game. You know, you put that down, all of a sudden you can do things you shouldn't be able to do on turn one.
Correct.
Much like the Moxes that you see here in the back row, the same idea. Those cards just accelerate the game too much to a broken standpoint almost, where like they were just too much. So they took them out eventually.
Which is also why they were called the Power Nine.
Exactly, yeah.
Nine strongest cards in the game.
Yeah, exactly. The big blue, the three big blue, obviously, and the 5 Moxes, and then the Lotus, of course. The Alpha set, though, I mean, you got some numbers for me, like as far as like we have rough amount printed for certain things, or?
Yeah, so there are around 1,000 rares printed of each card.
Right.
Very, very small production run.
Yeah.
Beta is probably around 3 times that, and then unlimited around 5-6 times that of beta.
Right. Yeah, no, that's special because, I mean, you think about the amount of cards they produce today and like the current sets, it's just staggering.
Yes.
Warehouses full of these cards.
Yes.
Whereas the entire production run of Alpha fits in the, you know, in a truck probably. Like,
Yes,
you know,
it's very, very small.
Yeah. I mean, and the survival of these cards till today is just unbelievable. The condition here is phenomenal. I mean, a lot of 10s in this set. I think one of the Power 9 graded 10 as well. I think it was the Time Walk. But, you know, the cool thing about these cards too, Joel was saying he had most of these from 93, right? He's had them forever.
So he had most of these cards from 93, back when he was a playtester and Alpha started getting produced. Richard Garfield kind of gave out product to a lot of the early employees and original playtesters.
Oh, nice.
And amongst the group of friends that Joel had at the company, he started trading around, and obviously he pulled some of these cards himself, but eventually that came to be the Alpha set that he has today.
Yeah, it's special. I mean, this exact set, when we first launched in 2020, this set was one of the first groups of cards we were able to certify. And now coming and see them come back to us with these beautiful, fresh, updated labels. You got this pristine 10 Royal Assassin. I mean, just beautiful cards. I mean, they're absolutely stunning. You know, and Joel is like one of those, he's got the pedigree on the back of every card too, so Joel Mick collection right there. Yeah. Completely fascinating. And you know, having his history tied with the game too makes it even that much more special, seeing that pedigree. I mean, because he stayed with Wizards for a while afterwards. He was hired on, correct, to the VP of operations, I think?
Yeah, so he was the VP of brand managing for around 3 years, and he was the lead designer for around 3 years as well.
Wow. And he did a lot of initiatives for Magic too, like creating, I think foils was one of
Yeah, so he created foils, he created the rarity symbol.
Okay.
He's the one who originally drafted the reserve list.
Ooh.
He's also on a couple of cards such as Jalam Tomb
Oh, yep.
and Jalam Grifter, which is from one of the unsets.
Yeah, so like Jellum, obviously his initials, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
JLM.
Yeah, JLM. Okay, perfect. No, that's fascinating because a lot of cards throughout Magic's history have tie-ins to people that were part of the production of the game or
Yes.
people that Richard knew. Obviously, Richard has his event cards too,
Yes.
which are really special. No, that's fascinating, you know, and seeing cards like that kind of like tie personally to people that were involved is always neat to see. And I think Joel's name's in the Alpha rulebook too, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It is in the Alpha rulebook.
That's so cool. I mean, you know, and we grade rulebooks now too, which is kind of fascinating.
Oh, awesome. I
Yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah, we just started grading them recently. So Alpha rulebook, obviously, with the Wurzel story on page 2, and then the Beta Unlimited ones are indistinguishable. I mean, some people say the staple moves a little bit, but you know. But back to the Alpha set. I mean, when you think about the 295 cards here, and like you said, like roughly 1,000 rares, and I think it's like, you know, triple that for uncommons, and then about, you know, what, 10x or so, 11x or so for commons, you know, based on the pack distribution. The set's just so small and so, I mean, they were played so hard, like finding cards in Mint Plus, like this beautiful tropical island. I mean, Mint Plus 9/5. I mean, this is one of my favorite dual lands.
Yeah, it's not often to find these cards. Most people back in the day, obviously sleeves didn't exist. People would play on hard concrete.
Yeah.
Things would get pretty roughed up. Wasn't until much later where they started developing sleeves. In fact, a lot of some people even laminated their cards way back in the day.
I've seen that
because-
happen, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Just
wild.
card sleeves didn't exist.
Exactly. They had to find some way to protect these because they probably had, a lot of people probably had inclination, like based on the popularity that was, you know, shown around Magic in that time period. People were like, well, this is going to get big.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know speculated like crazy, like just buying up all the cases.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Magic the Gathering finally squashed them all with Fallen Empires and just overproduced the sets, you know. But, you know, you got the iconic cards. Like out of this whole set, Alpha set, what's your favorite card? Non-Power 9.
Ooh, non-Power 9?
Yeah.
That's kind of tough. I mean, obviously Lotus is my favorite.
Of course, yeah. I mean, you know.
Royal Assassin's pretty cool.
So Royal Assassin, I mean, we have the most beautiful one I've seen right here. I mean, look at that thing. It's gorgeous. I mean, pristine 10 Alpha Royal Assassin. I'm sure that's pop 1. I mean, absolutely stunning card. You know,
Vesuvian Doppelganger is also good.
yeah,
Shivan Dragon.
Shivan Dragon. I think you're naming all the ones up here on the pillars here because, you know, Force of Nature for me is a big one that I love. Sarah Angel, of course. Mahamoti de Jin is another big one. But, I mean, there's so many iconic card arts from this set. I mean, you see the original art sold sometimes for just crazy amounts of money. Strong 6 figures. I mean, you talk about the Black Lotus painting, you're talking almost approaching 8 figures, I'd say. Like, you know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And-
Magic Art's definitely getting up there as
Yeah.
far as price and rarity.
Oh, for sure. And you know, a lot of new players that never were around to experience these older cards when they were released know about them. You know, we have people in their 20s, even their teens playing Magic the Gathering. They know what all these cards are.
Yes.
Maybe they haven't seen them in person, but they do exist, which is kind of cool. It just shows you the staying power of this hobby. You know, these younger group of players getting into it like that maybe can't afford an Alpha Lotus at this time, but 30 years from now, maybe they're running a company of their own. Who knows? You know, and they can buy this stuff. So having it all encapsulated in these beautiful CDC holders is the key, I think. You know, for preservation, viewability, obviously buying these things. You know, having a certified item is just makes transactions so much smoother when it's sight unseen.
Yeah. No, Magic definitely stands the test of time. I can definitely see this game being popular 30 years now in the future.
Oh yeah. Now tell me a little bit more about your company, Ancestral MTG. I love the name, by the way.
Thank you.
And the logo is beautiful too.
Yes.
I think someone who did Magic Art created the logo, correct?
Yes, Jesper Meerforce did.
Oh, Jesper made it for you? Oh,
Yes.
that's pretty cool. So Jesper, obviously, you know, you can find his art on some dual lands here, like this Tundra, for example. It says Jesper right at the bottom there. He was the lead designer for Magic Art, I think, when it first started.
Yeah,
correct?
so he was the original art director.
Art director. Okay, perfect. No, that's fascinating. I mean, and you know, obviously the Alpha set is the top of the mountain, but also the Beta and Limited set have the same cards. A couple added from, you know, Alpha to Beta, the Volcanic Island, the COP Black, and
Yes.
5 extra lands. But it's cool because it kind of gives everyone like where they want to enter in collecting. You can do this whole same set in Unlimited for a fraction of the value.
Yeah.
Whereas if you want something that's a little bit better, you can do the Beta set. Or if
Yes.
you want the top of the pyramid, then you get the Alpha stuff
Yeah.
here.
It's actually interesting. Alpha wasn't even very expensive when it first came out because you
Yes.
couldn't actually play with it because of the rounded corners. They were considered marked cards, so
Agreed.
people had to use beta cards to play for a long time. And it wasn't until sleeves came out where people were finally
The
able to
flip-flop
start. Yeah,
backdoors go, yeah.
yeah. People were finally able to play with Alpha.
No, that happened with me. Like when I had my first set of Power back in high school, I didn't want the Alpha stuff. I wanted Beta stuff.
Yeah.
Beta was the best, you know.
Everyone thought Alpha was weird because
Yeah.
what are these corners? They're
Yeah.
completely different.
But now it's like that's like a completely distant memory now. You know, everyone in the market now honestly understands Alpha is the way to go because
Yes.
it's 3 times as rare.
Yeah, it's 3 times as rare. It's the very first printing of Magic.
Right. And they were supposed to be the same set, Alpha and Beta, but
Yes.
they just messed up on the corners.
Yes.
No, that's awesome. You know, with Joel too, like I've had the experience and the pleasure to talk with him many times as well. Just a real good guy when it comes to just explaining the history of Magic and why he loves it so much. It seems like he's just always been involved with Magic in one way or another. You know, he was telling a story about his kid flipping through binders and stuff that he had. You know, it's just fascinating to see people that carry this hobby their whole life.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm sure with you said you got in pretty early, you know, with Magic, and it's just been something you've been doing ever since, right?
Not actually.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, perfect twist.
So, I actually got involved in Magic when I was 17.
Okay,
So
17.
in high school.
All right, that's still pretty early.
And then, I mean, I'm 27 now, so not too long, but
a decade almost, though, so that's a good amount of time.
pretty good amount of time.
Yeah, definitely. No, with me, I came in and out of it. You know, I got into Magic hardcore in 6th grade. You know, Revised just came out. They literally swiped the unlimited boxes off the table. And then I played, you know, up until about, let's say, Mercadian Masks. Got out, came back in, you know, around 2010 or so.
Yeah.
Played hardcore for 5 years, then I had kids, and then I was back out for a while. But then we started CGC Cards here. You know, I used to be in the collectibles business with coins and paper money and things, but I've always had a passion for these cards. And then starting CGC Cards was just amazing. I mean, the team, we had to bring it together, and now this collection was one of the ones that kicked us off when we started, and seeing it back again in these holders is just special.
Yeah, isn't the Black Lotus the very first Magic card you guys ever graded?
That is it right there. Yep, that's the card. We graded that as the first Magic card, and then a #1 trainer Pikachu trophy as the first Pokemon card. Yeah, so fascinating stuff. I mean, again with Joel, it's just one of those things that, like, seeing the pedigree on the back of these holders just in my mind elevates these cards. Like if I were to collect a set in the future of Alpha cards, and one of them was available to me with his pedigree versus one that wasn't the same grade, I would gravitate to the pedigree one for
absolutely.
sure. Because it's got a story behind
Yeah.
it. You know, it's like this card came from one of the creators of Magic.
Yes.
You know, that's just fascinating.